gets better. Sun must shine tomorrow. Music, 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 music is the answer. It makes you groove the best ever. Your move gets better. Music, 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 music is the answer. Trust me, brother, and trust me, sister, 'cause music is the answer. Now you got my recipe, just tell it to everyone. Sing around that melody, record it on your mobile phone. 'Cause I expect for another ring, so don't forget to say my name. Entertainment is not free, so better be. Say it again. Music, 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 music is the answer. It makes you groove the best ever. Your move gets better. Music, 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 music is the answer. Trust me, brother, and trust me, sister, 'cause music is the answer.
Hello everyone, so welcome for the October meetup. Happy to welcome you today. I'm alone, the boss is not there today, so Sadek will not join me. I will be alone on the first part of the stream, but actually we are going to cover a lot of interesting topics today, and I will be joined by two people, not live and not with me in the studio, but actually on the stream. So it's Alex that you know, that is working in developer evangelism and relations and experience, generally speaking, and he's going to be basically attend the meetup here with Ahmed that you see on the screen, like this, something like that, that you'll see on the stream, and that will during 45 minutes or so actually guide you through a full live stream where they are going to build features on Next.js. So we call them pro features because they are quite advanced, and they are based on our own website, the Prismic website. And so it's going to be also a chance for us to guide you through things that we've built in the website. How are you, Alex and Ahmed?
Good.
I'm good. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks.
It's pretty exciting to implement these features together. I actually met Alex at Conf in person for the first time, so it was great.
Yeah, we were at Next.js Conf just last week, and it was a fantastic time getting to meet you, buddy. Yeah, it was cool hanging out. Learned a whole bunch about what's coming down the pipe for Next.js. I got to hang out with a whole bunch of fantastic other developers and everything, and yeah, it was a really good time. So we're coming off that. We've got good chemistry now and everything, so it should be perfect.
Ahmed told us off stream that you actually were waiting for him at the door, right? Like you were the you were the first person that he met entering the conf.
Yeah,
I got there first.
Yeah, he was there first. As soon as I walked in the door, he was like right there. I was like, Alex, and yeah, it seems like he's been waiting for me right at the door the whole time. Yeah, so it was nice seeing him. It was pretty cool. It was actually my first in-person Next.js meetup ever. So Alex was kind of holding my hand, introducing me to all people that I have met online, or I've seen their, work online, but I've never met in person. So it was pretty cool.
Well, it was great getting to introduce you to a whole bunch of people who both are aware of your stuff and who aren't, but are about to be, and be very impressed with your channel because you do some great stuff. And I guess we can lead into, yeah, there we go. So perfect. We got it up on screen. Yeah. So Guillermo in his keynote. So Ahmed was in the keynote as a thank you to the community. So Guillermo put up a whole bunch of pictures of people making a big impact in the community. And Hamid, I actually have a picture. I should have sent it of Hamid seeing himself and just his face lit up. Like I looked over to him and he was just like he had no idea it was coming, and it was just a cool, like, genuine moment to see. Like I think like the fruits of your labor pay off in that kind of like in that kind of almost tangible way. So
Yeah,
pretty cool.
100%. I didn't expect it. They reached out and said, "Hey, we want to invite you to come over to the conf because a couple of people mentioned your name as an active part of the Next.js community." But
Cool.
when in the keynote, Guillermo just put up that image, it was like, it was a payoff. It was very rewarding to be acknowledged from Next.js, and also it is what I live and breathe on my channel. So it's just Next.js, so it was good to see that.
Cool. Yeah. I'm sure we'll drop a link in the chat so everyone else can go and follow. But yeah, do you want to dig into some live coding?
Let's go.
Let's
Wow.
kick it off. Cool.
Let's go. So no, can you
Renault's
introduce? No, that's good. Can you introduce maybe what we'll go through just quickly during that live coding session?
Of course, Alex, should I go or you would do?
I can do the the overview, kind of like the big outline. I'm not sure if PY, do we have any like slide or like
Wow.
the table of content?
Just-
There it is. See? I knew it. There we go. And I'll slide over. There we go. Perfect. So okay, well, I guess it's a broad interview. Or it's a broad overview. And actually we're supposed to go through Next.js 14 first. Is that correct?
No,
I thought that was later.
I think we wanted to just discuss it quickly, but like we can do it later. No problem if it's the
Okay.
if it's the base.
Yeah, we can come back to it if that's all right with PY. Yeah, so for live coding, that I'll kind of get into what we're doing there, but the chat can kind of see that we're going to be doing some live coding. We'll touch on what Hamid and I learned at the conference for what's next with Next.js. We'll do some Q&A, and yeah, that'll be this show. But for the actual coding, we're going to be going through a project that we have. It's just a standard website that's modeled after the current Prismic website, which if you haven't seen it, it's phenomenal. So check that out. Yeah, so we're going to kind of start with something that's just pretty standard. We have a few slices, we have a navigation and a footer. And then we're going to go through and show you how to set up preview the right way. The preview is one of the best features of Prismic. It is essential for content editors. So if you're not using our preview feature, we're going to show you exactly how to do it. We are were you going to cut in someone? I can't see Renault, so I want to make sure I'm not stepping on toes.
No, that's perfect. Continue.
Cool. We're going to show you how to get the new page builder, which is brand new. It is phenomenal, and I can't wait to. Hamid, have you had a chance to get your hands on it and play with it yet?
Yeah, I just tested it out in the past few days. It's awesome. It just makes it visually very easier to work with your slices and move them around, see the live preview. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to be digging into that, showing you exactly how to get it into your projects, because now when you start a new repository, you get that by default. So it's going to be really nice going from what we call like the old editor into the new page builder and setting up that live preview. We're going to show you how our team here who works on the Prismic website actually sets up their CTAs and some best practices around that, and adding a couple of variations to a slice. So we're going to be touching on a few, and last one, sorry, adding a theme option to pages and slices, and we'll talk about why we do that. Because if you notice on the Prismic website, we have like a dark theme for our developers and a light theme for when we're targeting content people or editors or marketers. And we can talk about how we technically go about doing that. So that's what we're going to be kind of mapping out. We're going to be going through those 5 different things. And yeah, Hamid, do you want to get us started just kind of giving us a tour of the project?
Of course. So I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yep, so far so good.
Okay, so on the left, you should see the VS Code.
We can hear you, Renault.
Okay, so On the left-hand side, we have a basic Next.js application. It's using the app router, TypeScript, and Tell Me CSS. We've gone ahead and set it up with Prismic. And basically what you need to do to set this up, just to preface this, where we're starting, if you go to the developer documents for Next.js, it guides you through what you need to do to set your project up with Prismic. I'm sure Alex recently put a long tutorial out for building a site with Prismic. So if you're not comfortable with the basics, maybe watch that video. I also have another video coming up on my channel for the app router. So those are going to be materials for you and the documentation if you want to just dive in through. But basically, after you install your Next.js app, you run this npx slice machine init. Let me just make it a bit bigger. I can't. So it's running an init command with a slice machine, which is going to install the dependencies and also create some routes inside your project. For example, it's creating this Prismic IO for me. This is where the setup for me for my Prismic client lives. This is where you're going to actually define the different routes that you have on the project and actually create a client. What's nice here is that now inside of this client, we are setting some options for the fetch that's happening behind the scenes so that we can later on revalidate and also use these tags to revalidate a specific tag when our content changes. It is also going to set up some files for you here. For example, we have this slice machine, which is actually creating the slice simulator and the slice machine. This is where we're going to build our slices. I'm going to show you shortly. And then it is going to also create some pages for you. For example, we have this slice machine, slice simulator. I'm sorry. This is how you're going to simulate your slices with mock data and see how they look without actually having to create any content. It also sets up some API endpoints for us for previewing our content and also a revalidate endpoint so that we can revalidate our Prismic content if there's any change pushed to our Prismic repository. So that's the overall of the project. Now, just starting with the layout, another thing that the init
Could I just super quick just touch on a couple things that you mentioned?
Sure.
Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. So just for anyone who is familiar with the pages router, a few of those things are specific to app router. So if you're a bit lost in terms of like, why do I need to pass all these things to the fetch method, like the tags that you talked about, right? Like that is something new that came with the app router and the cache that the app router introduced. So if any of this stuff is like, it seems like a lot, or it seems just weird, or you haven't really seen it before, just know that it's part of the new app router architecture. And for the most part, as Hamed said, slice machine in it, like when you install slice machine, we take care of generating those pages for you, generating that Prismic IO.js file with the routes and with the client. That is mostly handled for you, but still there for you to customize. So yeah, if you're a bit overwhelmed or confused, just know that yeah, things have changed with app router, but it's definitely something that you can pick up and run with, and Hamid's gonna continue to show us. So thanks for letting me just cut in there.
No worries. Now the good thing that I like about the init script that we just run, before you had to create all these paths and routes yourself, but now this not only installs all the dependencies but also creates this routes depending on your app structure, which is pretty nice. Basically you don't need to do anything. You can go in and maybe customize the different routes that you have in this Prismic IO, because this is how you're communicating to Prismic what is the structure of your app. So I'm saying here, for example, we're going to have a page type, and then I'm going to have a UID, which is a unique identifier for my home. All the other pages are supposed to be living /UID. This is a dynamic route, and for dynamic routes, this is how we set them up inside Next.js. It's a similar concept between pages and the app router. You have this brackets around the UID. This is your dynamic pages. Instead of having an index.jsx file inside of it, like the pages router, you have a page.tsx or JSX here, which is a React component representing this page. Before heading to this, I want to show the homepage first real quick, and then we're going to see the dynamic page. So
Cool.
inside of our homepage here, basically what we're doing from a high level, this home page function, it's the React component responsible for rendering our homepage. Now, what we're doing here is that we are creating a client right inside of our uh, React component, actually using the client from Prismic and getting a specific document by ID. In this instance, it's of type page, and the ID is home. We're going to see this inside our slice machine as well, so you know what I'm talking about, and also inside the Prismic repository. But we're fetching data right inside of our page component, and we're passing that page data to this slice zone. This is something that comes from Prismic React library. This allows you to pass your slices that we're going to code together, deciding how they're going to each look like, pass them to the slice zone, so it just renders all the slices nice and together. Now, up top here, just to see what's happening, if you're exporting another function called generate metadata, this is to generate metadata for your page. You're going to return an object from this. This is your metadata object, things like title, descriptions, open graph, images, and whatnot. And again, we are using the same client to fetch this page from our Prismic repository, and then return this object or our metadata from the page. So this is what we are doing on the homepage.
Yeah, so that kind of takes place of like React head, or sorry, Next head, React helmet, anything like that that someone might have used in the past to uh, set the metadata. This is the way that we do it with the app router now, right?
Exactly. Now, you can also export a static meta object from your static pages. So if you're not dealing with a dynamic route per se, you can just export a meta object or use this generate metadata function to dynamically return an object that's going to be used, or replace the next head basically in the pages router. Now, similar concept for the dynamic routes inside the UID bracket. If you look at that real quick, let me just close this off from a high level. Again, we are returning a page component. This is our React component responsible for rendering our page. We are using the client from Prismic to this time fetch another document by ID of type page, but we are accessing it from this params.uid. Now, this params is something that Next.js passes to each page or layout component. This is your dynamic segment of your dynamic route. So we're accessing the UID on it. This is the unique identifier for each page. And we're then again passing the page data to the slice zone to be rendered. And up top, similarly, we are exporting this generate metadata function, calling the client and returning an object. Now, one thing you can do on top of it is maybe you would want to create a function called get data here. I can go function get data, and then this function is going to have this client inside of it and fetch the specific page. So you can call this get data inside all of these three, because we are just basically doing the same thing. Now, one thing that you may worry is that you're actually calling this client and function inside the generate metadata. We're also calling it inside the generate static params. I'm going to explain what this is. But you might wonder, well, we're calling our database or our Prismic, or we're fetching 3 times. Actually, in every render pass, React is going to cache the result of this fetch function. So it's not going to, you don't have to worry about duplicating this duplication. It basically deduplicates your request, so you don't have to worry. But you can also, as a matter of abstraction, just pull all of this function, the create client and the get page, into a get data function, and just call the get data function inside of these 3 different functions. Now, generate metadata was similar, but generate static params is for your dynamic pages. If you want Next.js to statically generate your dynamic pages, by dynamic, I mean anything that's living inside of the UID. So if you want Next.js to build them statically, you need to export this generate static params and return the UID for the pages that want to be built statically. So that's what this function is doing here. And then if you don't do it, it is still going to go ahead and generate them dynamically at runtime. This is just for optimization, and it's kind of replacing the get static paths and get static props inside the pages, if you're familiar with that concept more. But I thought to explain what's going on here. Anything you want to add, Alex?
No, I think you're nailing it.
Okay,
Great. And are we going to check out the layout component?
of course. So
Cool.
here, back inside of our component, this is our layout. This is the root layout of our application. Let me just close this off. So inside of here, as you can see, this is what comes out of the box from Next.js. What we're adding to it is this header component and this footer component. This Prismic preview is actually what this slice machine init script also going to add to your layout. This is to enable preview functionality on your local host or on your live site. But inside of this header, what we're basically doing, is this what you meant, Alex, by layouts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of wanted to show because, once again, someone might have seen one of those pages and gone like, main is the top level element. That doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
that should be, not main, right?
Yes.
So sort
Now
of
that,
kind of like explain where
yeah.
HTML, where body is, and where everything and
Yes.
header and footer.
Yes. Now that you mentioned that, let me just backtrack myself then. So what happens is that inside of your app directory, you can have a layout for each segment. This is the main layout or the root layout that we have under the app. And what happens is that this is going to wrap the entire application. Your pages or nested layouts are going to be passed to this root layout as a children and be plugged inside this div. And we are wrapping it with our header and footer. So all the pages are going to come in between. Thank you, Alex, for mentioning
Yeah.
that, because
Oh, perfect. You nailed it.
I have explained it so much on the channel, so sometimes I
All
just
good.
make gloss over it. So
You
just
explain it so well, though. So
uh,
it's perfect.
thank you. Okay, so let's just quickly also look at our components. Our components are living outside of the app router. You can also co-locate your components inside the app directory, because your components are, the app router is not like the pages router. In the pages router, any component, any file would have turned into a route. But inside the app router, not every file is going to turn into a route unless it's a folder, and unless you export a page or route.tsx from it, it doesn't turn into a route. So you can co-locate components inside the app or keep them separate, just a matter of preference. Let's look at how the header looks here. So for our header, we are actually receiving a layout. We're going to see this layout in a second. This is a custom type we have created so that we can configure our site-wide settings, things like navigation links in the headers, columns and navigation links in the footers, logos and whatnot. And we're basically mapping over that data and showing navigation links. So if I show the site over here, so this, as you can see, we have the logo, we have some navigations on the right-hand side and some call to actions. So these are the navigation you can see here. And then we have some CTAs that are rendered over here. Now, it might be a good time to also show the slice machine so that we know how each of these things are built. Now, in the slice machine, if you have experience with Prismic before, we only had custom types before. This is how you would define a page inside of your application or inside of your documents. Now, for now, we have recently we now have also page types, which is also a type of a custom type, but we use it to define pages. So we keep them separate, so it's a clear understanding of where you define your pages and where you define your custom types. For example, here on the page type, we have defined one type of documents called page. If I make this whole screen to make it show better, can you see the whole screen now?
Yes. Yeah, we can see the whole screen, and then you can bump it up with, Command plus a few times.
Is
Yeah,
it
it's
bit?
good. Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so on the pages, we have one page type. Each page type is going to have two tabs by default here, main and the metadata tab. This is where you can define metadata for each of your documents, things like descriptions and titles. And main is where you're going to define different file field types and slices that goes inside of each of your pages. For example, you have this static zone where you would define non-repeatable fields for each of your pages. We have the UID here. This is going to be used as the slug for the page. We call it UID, or a unique identifier for each of our pages. And in the slice zone, we can define different slices that can be used inside of our pages. Now let's go to our slices. Now that we talked about the slices, we can define slices here, which is really a combination of fields. So it's a group of fields together. So let's look at this hero slice, for example. This hero slice, again, similar to the custom type, similar to the page, has a non-repeatable zone where you can define fields that won't repeat. For example, this is a hero slice. As you can see on the right-hand side, there's a screenshot preview of how this should look like. It has a title, has a description, has a background image. None of these fields are going to be repeated. You have one title per hero slice. But for example, we have some repeatable fields, such as this call to action buttons, that you may have one or you may have two for different hero slices. So repeatable zones is something that repeats, like this CTA buttons or links. And the non-repeatable zone is stuff that you would have once for each slice. Now, once you have created your slices, you can also create screenshots for them, either simulate them through, let me just see if this simulate actually works on my system. So the
It should.
So this is going to use the slice simulator that we looked at inside of our repository that was actually also installed, automatically running that slice machine script. It's going to use mock data to just show you how your slice would look like. You can use this mock data or this image and put it as a screenshot, or you can provide your own screenshots, maybe from Figma, maybe from your designs, so your team knows exactly how this slice will look like when they're trying to use it.
Yeah, my preference has definitely become Figma. Like, so building out the slice itself, I love being in the simulator. I love having that mock content because it means I don't have to travel to the CMS, fill in a bunch of my own mock data, hit publish, and then go back and try to style it that way. Having that mock data there to give me something to work against is such a time saver. And the fact that all of the fields are already wired up because we have code snippets that we can show off. It just makes the process of building individual slices so much faster. Like, if anyone out there is familiar with Storybook or any kind of way of building components in isolation, that's exactly what Slice Simulator is for. And it gives you this free mock data, and it'll speed up your workflow compared to the old way tenfold. Easy. So
Of course. Yeah. 100%. So now that you mentioned actually the code snippets, maybe I segue to actually building these slices. I know this is not about how to set up these slices, but quickly talking about these different fields. If you click on this show code snippet, it actually shows you where you can find this specific fields data when it is fetched from Prismic. So if I go back to the code here, inside of my repository, I have a slices folder where I can see the 3 slices that I also have here. So going back to slices, I have 3 slices here, the hero, the logos, and the slider. I can see the components responsible for rendering them right here. So for example, inside of our hero, we can see here that we're receiving this slice data from Prismic through the slice zone component that just passes the data to the correct component. And we can just decide how this should look like, designing, styling it with Tailwind, and then get the final result. Now, going back to the custom type, what I wanted to mention about the header and the footer or site-wide configuration is this layout. Let me just make this again bigger. Sorry for changing the screen. So the custom type, one of the custom types that we have here is this layout. As I mentioned, this is where you would define your header, footer, or any other site-wide config. So here we have a navigation and links inside of them as a static zone for our header. Up top, you can see on this tab, we have some call to actions. This call to actions were these buttons that you can see on the right-hand side on the page. And that's about it. And in the footer, similarly, we have a title and a column and a bunch of links for each of the columns. And again, if you want to see this in action, if we scroll down to the page, we can see this footer. And this is the column that we can see has a title and some links inside of it. So you can have different column. So this is something that we are using or fetching when we want to actually render our header and footer, which is shared between all of our pages in Prismic.
Perfect. Cool. And I just dropped the link in chat if anyone wants to just check out. It's not the flashiest demo. It's styled off of the Prismic site and everything, but just in case you wanted to see for yourself.
Awesome. Okay, so did we cover everything for our initial setup?
Yeah, and I was pulling the chat up, so I might have missed something. So just to double check, did we mention that those slices in the actual slice files in the slices folder get created automatically for you, and like you get like a nice like starter template every time you create a slice. So like so much is done for you just by clicking new slice and adding those fields. It like it's tough to overstate just how much we take care of all of the boring boilerplate stuff of like figuring out how to fetch from the API and figuring out how to wire that data down. Like we've taken care of all of the boring stuff of hooking your website up to a page builder, up to a CMS, and just let you focus on the fun stuff that you actually want to do. So not sure how much we said there, but if I said it again, oh well.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, actually, I haven't.
and I can maybe just enter this like sorry, I wasn't there for a long time, so I'm entering it. Like what we see in data is that actually with Slice Machine and all those items wiring up all everything, we accelerate like the time to go live to almost 40%. Like those are data that we are having, and so that's something that we can see. It's not only like talk; it's also stuff that we see in data.
Yeah. Coming from an agency, I if I had 40% of my time back to work on a site, I could polish up so many bugs, make it way more accessible, do so many things that when you're coming down to it, and chat back me up here, there are just some things by the time you go to ship, you're just like, we'll fix it after we ship. We know we didn't get to that thing, but we'll get it later. We got to get the site live. To be able to ship 40% faster, man, that site is going to be so much better. You're going to be able to take on more clients. Like there are just so many benefits across the board that come with that kind of wild speed increase. So that's super
Absolutely.
cool. Thank you for that detail, Renaud. Cool. So I think we covered the project pretty thoroughly, and we also gave a nice rundown to anyone not familiar or maybe haven't dove into. Yeah, we'll say that's what I'm trying to say. The app router just yet. So thank you so much for that. Let's touch on the preview. So like we already have that Prismic preview component there in our layout, but let's kind of say that maybe we don't, right? So can you kind of walk us through both adding that Prismic preview to the app layout file and also configuring that preview in our repository?
Yep. So what Alex was talking about, the preview, is this Prismic preview that we're getting out of the Prismic IO Next. This is a specific for Next to enable your previews. This is automatically added for you if you're running that script, but if it isn't, you're just going to add it to your root layout. So it enables you to have both previews for your local development when you're actually playing around with your content in the Prismic repository, or even previewing content on your live site, which is great for your content team to see what they're trying to create before actually publishing it. So once you have this here, you'd have to then go to your Prismic repository, and inside of your settings, which is covered here. Bear with me for a second.
Could you bump it up a little bit? Awesome.
Sure.
Oh.
Okay, so
Cool.
inside of your setting, you can go to the preview tab, and here is where you can set different previews. For example, you can set up a preview for your development, and then it can be your local host or 3000, and then it's going to be at API preview. And you create this preview, and this is the same actually API files and routes that was created for us when we ran the slice machine in it. So this preview is just a route handler. This is the new way of having API endpoints in the pages router. You're supposed to export named functions from your route handlers. For example, get here corresponds to a get request to this endpoint. And all we're doing is getting this redirect to preview URL from the Prismic Next package. And this enables us having a preview on our local development. We can also create another for our production. Let me see where we're actually deployed.
So the URL is prismic-base-next.vercel.app.
HTTPS.
Yep. It's prismic
base
base next
okay
vercel.app.
result app.
Cool. And then
Okay, and then we again have the API and then the preview.
typo in API there. There you go. Cool.
Got it. Okay.
Nicely done. Yeah, and then you're set there. Quick, I just want to kind of highlight a couple things where like you showed how we import that component into our layout file, and then here for our routes which are created for us, we're also importing a component, this redirect to preview URL. There's just so much in the Prismic packages that just take care of stuff for you. So like I hope the chat can kind of see like how little we have to set up. I mean, this is a 10-line file that handles previews for you. Like that, it's just incredible. Both leveraging the power of Next.js and Vercel with what Prismic has done with our SDKs. I just think it's super cool how much you get for a couple of lines. I mean, the preview component itself was one line, and you just passed it the repository name, and you're done, right? Like it's just really cool to me. So
yeah, 100%. It's phenomenal how easy it is now to use this functions or packages, SDKs that comes with Prismic. It just makes that time that you have to spend setting up every project. It gives you that time back so that you can actually work on the project. Okay,
cool.
So we have this now. Maybe we can segue to actually enabling the new page builder. So right now we are on the old page builder. So if I go to my homepage, for example, where I have my
so this is the new one.
Yeah.
Can we get back here? Let me did we set up the URL yet? No, not yet. Okay, cool. I will downgrade us quickly. Give me one sec.
It's done, guys. You can refresh now the document list and
oh, cool. Cool. So we can refresh the document list.
Let's go to the homepage.
A little bit of behind the scenes there, chat. It's kind of fun.
Okay.
Cool. So
awesome.
There's the editor that we're familiar with.
Exactly. So this is how you would go about your content team would go about actually putting content into slices that you have created, them pages and custom types that you have created or coded in the backend. So here, for example, on the homepage, we have the main, we have the UUID. This is the unique identifier. Let me just make this bigger. And then we have our hero slice. This is corresponding to this hero slice that we can see on the homepage here. So they have put a title, description, and a background image for it. And then on the repeatable zones, we have the call to action buttons. So we have different kind of buttons here. Now we're going to come back to this style and how you can actually use these type of features to style your buttons differently. For example, you have a primary style, a secondary style, a link style, a tertiary style for your buttons. So going back to the page, you can see this first button is looking like a button. The second one is like a link. So you select these type of styles. It can be styles for a button. It can be theme for a page or for a slice, but it's the same concept. We get to give the content team these options and then code in the backend how these components will look like if they select different options. And again, similarly, we have the logos slice where we have defined the title in some logos. This is a repeatable zone. Again, we can have multiple logos. And then at the end, we have this slider, which is going to correspond to logos. And then this is slider, which is a pretty nice design from the team and pretty nice implementation. You have different slides with images and with text that you can just scroll through very nicely using framer motion for the animation and swiper for actually swiping these slices. And I
Cool.
guess people can have access to the repository, which is great because even though you might be familiar with setting this up, it's always nice to see another implementation. It gives you ideas as to how somebody else would actually set this up, let alone that's coming from Prismic itself. So I was very glad to see that they have taken their own site and actually showcasing it here as an example rather than us building something of our own. We can actually see how they're going about implementing their own site, which was also some learning for me in the implementation side.
Yeah, love it. Cool. So can we kind of go through the steps that if someone doesn't have it yet, they could go through to enable the new page builder that they got a little sneak peek of a minute ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically there's a couple things that we need to do to prepare our code base to make sure that we are ready for all the best features that the new page builder has to offer, particularly the live previews of your slices as you're entering your content. So if we go to our package JSON in our project, we should see a slice simulator here, right? Do we see the oh wait, or is it, hold on, I might be making that up. That actually just comes from oh, is someone talking?
No, I was just saying that once you run the script for the slice machine, it actually also creates this slice machine.config for you, which is going to expose this local file for your slice
Yeah.
simulator. And this is
Yeah, so that is going to be where we actually find that simulator, and we actually import the slice simulator from adapter next. So we see in package JSON, it's actually slice machine adapter next. So that's the package that we are importing our slice simulator from. So if that's not in your project chat, and you're looking to add the slice simulator to your project, make sure you install that. We have documentation on the website that I can drop into chat. Let me see if I can get that over there to you in a sec. Or if Nuha or someone can drop that in, that'd be awesome. And so then we have our slice simulator file right there. Yeah, if you open that
Yep.
up,
Yes.
we can see, once again, not many lines of code. It's only 14, and this is created for you if you do a slice machine init. If not, we have the code available also. It is a client component because want this to be dynamic as you're typing. We want this to update. And yeah, we kind of take care of all of this for you. So once that's set up, all you need to do is then deploy your site somewhere, because the new page builder will reference that file and render your slice in real time as you change the data. And so you just need that file and the local slice simulator URL in your slice machine config, and then we're set. Like it can be really that easy. So now that we have that, we should be able to go and set up our, let me pull it up, our we can set our repo to the new page builder. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and hit that, Renault, if you're still there. If not, I can hit it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool.
Now, one thing that I do while Renault is doing that is I just went to the live deployment of our site. This is just a live version on Vercel. And for you to check to see you have everything set up, you could just go to Slice. What was this path
Slice
again?
simulator.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can go to slice simulator, and you should see this page. This means that the slice simulator is actually set up correctly. So you're good to go.
So
yeah.
good.
So if you just want to copy that URL, we will be using that. It's just the whole thing. There you go. Copy that, and we'll be using that in a
Let me
second.
just
And
sure.
And now it
perfect.
should be good. It should be good to also. You should be able to actually copy it
Cool.
in the page.
Okay.
Thank you, Renault.
So now I'm back in my Prismic repository. I click on the homepage, the same document that we saw together. If I make this a bit smaller, this is the actual new page builder.
You can probably open it full screen. I don't think we're going to be looking at code for a minute.
Sure.
Cool.
Can you see it? nicely?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So now if we want to actually enable the preview, we can come down to this 3 dots for settings and go to live preview settings. We're just going to paste the URL for where our slice simulator actually lives and hit save.
Awesome.
And as you can
And
see, the image is populated there. Let me just refresh this
yeah,
page.
it might need.
There you have
There
it.
we go. Cool. So yeah, the cool thing is, like, not to correct you or do like a well actually, but the cool thing is it's not an image. So like if you change the title, like if you erase the title there and types something new, yeah, we see it update just the way that it would be if it was local, but even faster, honestly. So your content team can see exactly what that slice is going to look like. They can see, oh, I see that faster is going to carry on to the next line. I don't want a widow there, so I can edit it. Like they don't have to go through the old way of hitting save, hitting preview, going to see it, seeing, oh, there's a word by itself. Let me go back and fix that kind of thing. Like they get this, rapid preview of each slice right there as they're doing it. So it just completely changes the game. They can drag and drop a slice to move it around. Like if you grab one of those, drag it up and down, it's just a really quick way to reorganize your slices and see how they look there. So it is such an improvement in so many ways over the old editor that people absolutely loved. Like the editor is one of the things that I constantly hear people love because it's simple. It doesn't add too many wild features that get confusing and just crazy menus and stuff. It is exactly what content teams need. We kept that simplicity, but we brought features that make you faster at creating the pages that you need to create, with the same methodology of slices over pages, right? Focus on these page sections. Don't focus on static, locked in, full pages. Give your content team the power of slices and let them build whatever pages they need.
Absolutely.
So this looks great. We've got it up and running. Honestly, all it took was a slice simulator file that you should already have installed if you run Slice Machine init. You deployed that somewhere. It can even just be on a free Vercel instance like ours is, and you can see the changes. You can change images and it'll update immediately. You can delete buttons or add buttons or whatever. All of that's going to render in real time. And then if we want to hit save, we can still use the classic preview feature because we did set that up earlier. So we should probably show that off. And the button is on top of me if PY wants to hide me for a sec. Cool. There we go. Preview page there. And that should load. This took a little bit yesterday, but I think that might be on Vercel's side. I don't know. Okay. We are
Yeah.
good. We are good.
Very good. So one thing that I want to point out from what you mentioned, which is different from the old way. Now, in the old builder, you could have still previewed your content by saving it, and then instead of publishing, just go to preview.
Mhm.
The fact that this is now changing live right when you're changing it here just reduces one step, not having to save and preview. You could just tailor the content here or the text or whatever image. And then once you're happy, you can just save and then preview to go to the actual preview. So as you can see here, I just moved the slices up. Now the slices are changed. So the logo is down there.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And then if you change something else, hit save. You don't have to hit preview again. It should just update. So yeah, if you move something or change something else.
So let's change this back down.
It doesn't want to go, does it?
Let's bring this
back. Yeah. I think you were dropping it on the wrong line or something. But anyway, hit save. And then the preview that we have open should update. Did it?
Yeah, it is. It's loading. There we go.
Cool.
So updated.
Yeah, so that makes working on content so much easier. Honestly, I've said this a million times, but I will say it to the day I die. You cannot give a self-respected content team a website without a preview feature. You can't say, "Hey, here's your editor. go ahead and like add your content and then click publish, wait for it to build over on Vercel. And in a couple minutes, you'll see if you like what you've got. You can't do that. They will laugh you out of the room. You have to have a solid preview feature like Prismic offers, or else it's just a no-go from the start, I promise. So the fact that this works so well and that it's only getting better, so we're making each change, we're shortening that feedback loop so that as you're typing now, you're seeing the effect. That's the whole goal, is just to make it so that content teams can make really incremental changes and they get that feedback immediately. So thank you for setting that up, Ahmed.
Absolutely. So, one thing that we might have missed to say is that people can go on a link that we probably shared in the chat to go on the waitlist if you guys want to see or upgrade to the new version of the builder. If you had your repository before, as Alex mentioned, new repositories are going to get the new builder out of the box. But if you want to upgrade yours, you can just go on the waitlist to be upgraded.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm just checking chat. Yeah, good question, Neil. Good answer. Dimas? I guarantee I'm pronouncing that wrong. My apologies, but you got some great folks here. And yeah, the page snippets on the page types is a huge time saver too. Great point. Can you just quickly go to the page types in Slice Machine, because that's honestly one of my favorite new features that saves me a ton of time. So yeah, if you hit page there, if you just open that up, and then page snippet at the top. Let's just show that quickly with the simulator button. Yeah, so here, yeah, Neil, thank you. I need to bring you up to help me out, man. This is such a time saver that we've added and is now in Next, and SvelteKit. So whatever framework you're using that we support, this will be there. So you don't have to go in to the docs and copy this. You don't have to go write this all yourself. This allows you to so like this handles the fetching of your document for you. This handles the rendering of all your slices. This just takes care of it. So you can just drop this code into a new file and you're good to go. Like it, once again, this is stuff that you don't need to write, because this is going to be standard for every page that you're doing. With the slice architecture, the page itself doesn't matter as much as the individual slice. So we can take care of like 95% of the code that you need to write, drop that in, change small parts here and there, and you're set. So yeah, Neil, great point. This is a huge time saver.
This is
And as
pretty
you,
much actually what we have in the code right now. So we had this page. This is just what we went on together, the page component, calling the client to generate metadata and generate static params.
yep.
And I also love it that you can change to the pages router if you're still using that. So you could see the code for the pages router or the app router.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic feature that honestly brings you so much closer to being able to ship a website in like 5 minutes, honestly. So yeah, huge time saver. So thank you, Neil. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is definitely super neat, Jan. And it's good to see you, by the way. I got a lot of good folks in chat. Cool. So sorry, I'm getting distracted, but chat's bringing up really good points. I can't not point this stuff
100%.
out.
Of course, that's the whole point of a live stream. We can
Yeah,
interact with
exactly.
the chat, of course.
Exactly. Cool. So now I would love to talk about offering more options for CTAs. You touched on it a little bit, where you can add the primary, the secondary features for links. Can we actually go to the hero slice and kind of show how we might handle that? Like what do we consider the best practices for handling different options for CTAs?
Okay, so before going to the code, I just want to touch it here that
Yeah.
on the repeatable zone on the hero slice, this is what Alex is referring to. We have different buttons. Just going to the live, these are different buttons that we have. We want to style them differently. So inside of our slice machine, we have this field that calls style for each of our buttons. This is actually a select type of drop-down field. You can have options, primary, secondary, and tertiary. This is mapping to the options that the content creator can actually select when they're actually creating the content. Now, going back to our code to see how we're implementing this to the slices, on the hero, so inside of a button, we are passing everything to this button component. So we abstracted all of our links and buttons to this button component, and we're passing in the field and the specific style that comes with it to this button. If we go to the button component, we can see here we have some basic styles. So I'm going to minimize them so we can see what's happening. So this is the button function returning our component. And here we're using the class variance authority to just have some different variants in terms of style, themes, sizes, options, and some basic styles for our buttons. So it enables us to pass those different variants or styling or classes options to them and then render them accordingly. So as you can see here, the button is rendering a component if you're passing in a component. So you can pass a next Prismic next link, or if you don't pass anything, it's going to render a Prismic next link.
Yeah.
This is a specific component coming from Prismic, actually next again. It's using the next link under the hood, but it also looks at your routes to understand where to send once this button is clicked. Now,
exactly.
go ahead.
No, sorry. Just giving you a big thumbs up.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, in terms of the class and the style, so the style is going to be passed to our button. This is again, as you can see here, is using the CX. The CX is a way for you to pick up classes depending on what's passed to it. So if you're using the button styles, this is coming from our CSS variance authority. And then depending on that is choosing to apply which of these tailoring classes to it to look the way that we wanted it to look, depending on what we have defined here.
Yeah.
So for example, inside of our repo here, if I go to my buttons, my first button is type primary, and the second button is called tertiary, which is just like a link. And so the first one is styled this way, and the other one styled that way. Anything you want to add, Alex?
If you could just go to the index file there, the slice itself, the first file that you have open, that. And if you just hover over item.style there on line 42, just over the style part, this is one of my favorite parts of working with Slice Machine, is that we're auto-generating types for you so that you know exactly what you're getting. You're going to get one of these three options because that's what you set up in Slice Machine. And because Slice Machine, knows what it's doing, it can generate types based off of the fields that you create. So you can come in here and know exactly what you're getting. Like the fact that everything coming from Prismic is typed now makes your job so much easier. So even the code that you are going to write, like we're handling a bunch of the boilerplate for you, and then when it comes to the code that you're going to write, we want to make that easier too. So we're typing every field that you're getting in, so you know exactly what to expect. So just want to say, one of my favorite parts of modern Slice Machine.
It's actually very great you brought this point up, because we're going to actually use this to add, when we're talking about different variations or adding themes to our slices, we're going to be adding this field to our inside our Slice Machine to our slices or to our pages. Once we do that and push that or save that to our code base, these types are actually generated for you, and we're going to see that in action, because sometimes you may want to conditionally render a different style of these components looking at these different values. So it will come handy for you to know what actually these values are, and we'll see this in action in the next step where we're adding variations to our hero slice.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it. So variations are a fantastic way to not have like 50 slices in your project, especially when a slice is really just a small change of another slice. Like we've all built a component where it's an image here and it's text over here. You don't want to have to create an entirely new file, an entirely new slice, and just like pollute your whole project if you want to have the opposite of image over here, text over here. It's a very standard flip. We've made that a lot easier for you, so that if you have any kind of a variation on a hero slice, on a testimonial slice, whatever it is, use a variation so that it's just easier to manage overall, and we get some nice benefits because you keep it all in that same file if you would like.
Exactly. So going to the hero slice, doing exactly what Alex just mentioned, creating a variation for having this background image just show on top instead of being a background image. So you have the image on top, and then you have your pre-title, title, and description. It might not be the best design wise, but bear with me on that. I just want to show you how you would add a variation and then change that in the code so your content creators can actually create different variations. So I've just gone ahead to test this out, created a variation. So up top of for every slice, I'm on the slice page. I selected the hero. Up top, you can see all your slices come with a default variation or the default ID for your selected variant. Uh, I added this image top. You can add new variations. You can go here, select a name, and there's going to be an ID associated with it, which is passed to your code when you're actually fetching data from Prismic, so you know how to style them differently. So I have selected this image top to just have the image on top. Now, once you create a variation and you save this change, your code is actually going to reflect this change. Now, this is the hero slice or the hero component responsible for rendering the hero slice. And if I just hover over this slice variation to the point that Alex was mentioning a couple of minutes ago, you could see that it is telling me that this variation can be default or image top. This is corresponding to the variation I just created. So these types are automatically generated as you push or save your slices from Slice Machine to your code base. Now here, for example, let's say we want to maybe show this stuff differently. So let me just open up our live preview on the local host. So we're working on this. So let's just wrap this whole thing inside of a parenthesis. Let's say I want to conditionally add some classes to this. So I say if a slice dot variation equals to image top. Now, if you notice, the autocomplete actually
Yeah.
knew the values, and this is what's so great about automatic type generation here. So if the slice variation is image top, maybe I want to make this into a flex call reverse. And let's also come down here on the image. And this is simplifying the process, but I hope you get the idea. So let's on the image component say, hey, if the slice variation, let's get this with full and absolute positioning of this image to be the background. Let's say if the slice variation, but variation equals image top. Sorry.
Oh, good.
So, and then if it isn't, let's just copy what I had there. And here, I'm going to say, if you're not an absolute, let's just make the height, make the width maybe half, and then MX auto. Let's just save this and see how it changes.
And worst comes to worst, we can just do like a border red, border blue, just to see the change. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I'm good with that too.
My
I know we're a
computer
little
is,
over time.
yeah.
Oh, good. So are you should it change there, or is because that's not image top, that's the default, right? So it should be the
Oh,
same, or is the code at the, yeah. So
no, no.
if you open a simulator, that's probably the best way to switch between the variations, right?
Yes. Where was our simulator?
So if you go to the middle one, you can open it from there. If you go to Slice Machine and then hit simulate up the top. Perfect. And just for chat, we are working on making Slice Machine more responsive because we definitely heard the feedback that you want to have this like side by side workflow, and Slice Machine doesn't always work. Great if you're in side by side workflow. So that's one thing that we are pushing forward on. So there we go. Nice. So there's your variation. There's image top, and then if you go to default, it was what we had before. So just a quick switch, and all Prismic is giving you is just a string, right? So like you base it off of slice that variation, and the rest is up to you. We put the full power in your hands. We don't limit you to doing anything. You could conditionally pull in a totally different component and import that from a different folder or something. You can do whatever you want because we're just giving you one of several strings on that slice that variation property. So the world's your oyster with that, but we make it easy to keep all of your slices condensed and neatly organized so that when your content team wants to add a hero, they click hero and then they choose from the variations of that hero. They don't have to go searching through the entire list of slices and trying to find the one that they want. Just makes it a lot easier.
So, and one thing I want to add to that is once we have made these changes, we can see it locally inside of our code and simulate it, as Alex mentioned, inside of our local area. But we can also push the changes that we had on the hero that is telling us that there is now two variations up to our repository. So our content team can actually see that change here. So they can select different variants here inside of this code. It's and that way they can also preview it nicely with the actual content that they have. Should I do that here? Should I push the change?
We You can push it, sure. Yeah, I don't. We are a little over time, so we
Okay.
might want to go through the rest. But yeah, you know what? Let's check out the change. So if we hit refresh on that, that should um, cool. So we got those coming in. Wondering why hero logos aren't rendering, but we should see our variation. If you click hero default, what does that have? Yeah, does that? Trying to see. Okay, so if you just go to add a new slice,
Mm-hmm.
let's try that. So hit the plus button over on the left, wherever you want to add that slice. So, do we see our no? Yeah. So the hero has two of the variations now. Cool.
Yeah.
Image top doesn't have an image. We didn't add a thumbnail, so that makes sense. But yeah, if you were to add that, that should
Work.
come
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. So if we go, the last thing I want to touch on was adding a theme option to pages and slices. So for the Prismic website, we're actually using two themes for each of our slices. So if you go to the prismic.io site, Hamid, cool. So like here we can see that we have this bright white theme. And then if we go to product up at the top and then hit developers, you can see that everything goes dark. Now, the logo grid that's underneath the hero there, that is the same logo grid that's being used on the white parts of the site. But when it's for developers, we wanted this, developer dark theme style. So how do we go about that, right? So we can show that off.
Sure. So similar, let me just actually keep this still big. So it's a
Cool.
similar concept of having that style drop down for our buttons, or at least this is how I think about it.
Yeah.
Now you can have this similar style drop down or theme drop down. You can have it per page. So when you're defining your page types, for example, one of the static uh, non-repeatable files or fields you can have for each of your pages is just a theme, which is
Yeah.
just literally a drop down for a light or dark theme. Now you can have this theme per page. You can also have it per slice to maybe contrast slices as they're laying out in a page, or to pick up from the page theme, or to be in contrast with the page theme. So there are different ways that you can do it, but the idea is just to have these fields either for a page or at the slice level, add this select drop down for a light and theme, and then change your code to reflect on that style to then pick up the theme. Should
Yeah.
I implement it
So
on a
yeah.
slide?
So yeah, if you head to page types, because yeah, so let's add it to our page. Because what we're doing on Prismic is, yeah, if you add the new field and add a select, and here we just want to do two options here. So we can call it theme, and we want to have it so that you have option of light and option of dark, and that's it. But for our slices, we're actually going to do one more option, because we want the page theme to kind of be the default for every slice, but we want the slice to be able to opt out of that theme. Like if all of a sudden we want a punchy sorry, reverse themed slice somewhere in the middle, we want that slice to be able to opt out of it. So if there's nothing selected for each slice, fall back to whatever the page says. So if it's dark, every slice will be dark. But if that slice has like an override switch to it. So if here we go to select, perfect. And then you can do theme also. Nice. And then for those options, we can do both as the first one. It's just what we called it, or either, or default, like whatever you want to call it here, right? But both works. I
Sure.
I think the repo might be set up to take both, so that might be just good to go for.
Sure.
And then light and dark. So if it's both, and we can set that as the use first value as default, perfect. Yeah. So now this, if it's set to both, fall back to the page. If it's set to either of those, it'll override. So that's and then in your code, handle that switch, right? So
Yeah.
you can look at the parent and determine, hey, what's the context here? Like, is this slice rendering on a dark page or a light page? And is my own property overriding that? So
Yeah.
that's how you set that up with Slice Machine. And then we can go through the code implementation, but maybe I'm just thinking of time. Do we want to go through a full thing there?
Your
Maybe.
call.
I don't know. Anyone in the studio, do you want to call us off, or should we dig into this?
It'll be very simple here. I'm just going to
Perfect.
show something here. Not pretty complicated. Oh, well, I know in the way that we set it up, we could look at the page theme and then the slice specific theme, but you have access to slice primary and then theme here. You could just look to see if it is dark. For example, I'm just adding a dark class.
What's the error?
I think I haven't saved this different slicer. So once I save this,
That might be it.
it won't be it will understand that we actually have this here.
Oh, now it's
So
done it you for the whole thing.
yeah,
Because yeah, got it.
maybe this.
What's the error? Comparison appears to intentional. Both light dark have no overlap. Got it, because we have that third, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think chat can kind of get the idea, right? So you would somewhere in this file write that, like, if it's both, take the parent. If it's light or dark, do that instead, because those will override. So yeah. Actually, I think you're doing a lowercase when it needs to be an uppercase. Yeah, that's
There I have
yeah.
it.
So that's the overlap part. Cool.
Yeah. So then here you could say, hey, if it is dark, just say BG black, and if it is dark, go text white. So hopefully,
Cool. And that dark part there, that is Tailwind that you're doing there, right? Like, that's not a Prismic thing. That's not anything that that we have, that's the dark mode of Tailwind, correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Cool.
So again, you have to push these changes to be able to see it on your code, because right now it's not actually coming as that. But if we go to our theme to say dark, we should see that dark on the image changing
Awesome.
and changing the text.
And that's it. Awesome. Well done, Hamid. Fantastic. So yeah, just to recap, we went through. Let me get my full list here. We toured the entire site, kind of gave an overview of the app router. We set up the preview, which absolutely is a must-have for any site. We set up the new page builder, so we kind of showed you the before and after of what the old editor looks like and what that new page builder offers. And we didn't even touch on like half the features of just the fact that the rich text editor is much more like Notion. Like we've brought everything and modernized it so that it is so much nicer to use. As soon as you get your hands on it, you will see exactly what I mean. And we have so many more improvements like down the pipe. Yeah, exactly. They are. Yeah. So like now that we've landed the new page builder, Renault knows that like improvement after improvement is just gonna come every quarter, every couple weeks, honestly.
Yeah.
Every week, absolutely. And we have the live preview. We showed you how to offer more options for your CTAs, how to add some variations for hero slices, and how we handled our theme and how you can do it for your own sites. So lots of stuff that we have been using here at Prismic, because obviously the Prismic site is built with Prismic. So big shout out to our website team for drinking our own champagne and absolutely just being able to come up with these best practices. It's really, really helpful, I think, for everyone. So we're going to keep sharing out what works for us and what we see across the community. So thank you to everyone who keeps using the product and making it better. Renaud?
Thanks to both of you first to do this tour and to guide everyone through the less than an hour, all those things that most of our users are actually asking questions about, and so it's going to be, I guess, a very, very important resource to share to everyone. So thanks, Alex, and thanks, Ahmed. Ahmed, just thanks for everything that you've done here. I wanted to let our users and the viewer know that you're actually also freelancing and that you're available for work if needed. And so in the chat, we should drop a link on top of your portfolio that is displaying at the screen now. And you're also offering a course, right? A full tutorial on a few things. Do you want to maybe have a word about it?
Of course. So I have, you can see the course on my site. It's the Ultimate Next.js course. I had it actually the last meetup that I had with you guys here. I was working on it. Now it has been published for a few months since the Next.js 13, the app router became stable. It's right now on a special discount because I just hit 10K subscribers on my YouTube channel. So celebrating that, I'm just giving as a thank you. As a thank you to my community, I'm just offering a discount on the course. Now, what I go over the course is Next.js, the app router, the ins and outs, server components, suspense and layouts, really anything that you need to know to build Next.js applications. Next.js 14, which we may touch on here, hasn't really changed any APIs. The only change is that now the server actions are stable. And that's the only API change. So the course actually applies. I'm updating the course as we're going forward, adding new videos, and you can check it out. And I think it's a great resource for learning Next.js.
I'm sure it is, and I think like people on the stream could assess like the actual depth of knowledge that you have in Next and the fluency that you have in it. So, and actually also how you are capable of teaching like maybe complex concepts in a very easy and simple way. And so like I encourage everyone to check that.
I appreciate that.
So I think that's mostly it. Maybe we have a few questions though to address on the chat. I have two where you might be able to assist me also, Ahmed and Alex, because I cannot share my screen. So I just wanted to show one, for example. I'm gonna take the name, but someone asked to get a GraphQL playground and be able to access GraphQL to not only access the GraphQL endpoint but have access to a GraphQL playground. I wanted to show. And let me find the name so that I'm sure I'm addressing the right person. So Sebastian, it seems, and so it's something that we actually provide on the stream. Sorry, I can share my screen. Oh, wonderful! I'm going to share my screen then. So, up. We actually do have a GraphQL playground, so I'm going to open the same repository as Ahmed and Alex used, and just show you. You don't see my screen, right? So
No.
The easiest way might be like if you can, Ahmed or Alex, just share your screen quickly, or go back to basically opening the repository, and instead of typing /API, just typing /GraphQL. And basically the GraphQL playground should display for your repository, showing to everyone that actually it's something that is available. And so if you're into GraphQL, which I'm personally not.
So the Prismic IO / and then GraphQL at the top. And so instead of documents.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. You were good. So
yeah.
The URL should be Prismic base next.prismic.io / GraphQL.
And then you should see this GraphQL playground with all the types that you've created, the custom types and slices. And so you should be able to build your query with any type of GraphQL playground that you are used to use. And so, Sebastian, if you want to know more, we also have a GraphQL documentation where basically all those items are being described. So that was question number 1 that I wanted to address personally. And thanks a lot for helping me and assisting me on sharing the screen here. The second question was around Figma as a storybook plugin. Storybook plugin for Prismic. Alex, you kind of touched on it. So there was a follow-up on the question that was like Figma as a storybook plugin. They integrate Storybook into Figma to give a live compare between style and live component. That's very interesting in order to ensure quality and consistency across design. That's very good feedback. We might want to leverage that at some point. So thanks, Dimas. But what Dimas was saying was a suggestion, at least, was for a plugin to automatically create fields and slices from Figma. Based on the design. What do you think about it, Alex? Because I know that you kind of investigated some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Figma. I think that any way that we can get from design to development faster is a big win. So yeah, I like the idea of so we kind of looked at this problem and explored a couple avenues, and yeah, I would love to chat, honestly, because it kind of came down to like, all right, when we got a bit deeper into it, it's like, are we saving that much time for the setup and the linking of these different things? Like I just want to make sure you're not spending more time creating the connection between your Figma file and your slice and the slice and slice machine and all this stuff. Like if you're spending more time doing that than it would actually take just to look at the Figma file and
do the mapping yourself.
Add the fields. Yeah, exactly. Then it's like, all right, is it worth our development time, or should we put our development time into other things to make other parts of the development experience better? So it's still something that we're very interested in. It's just I haven't yet cracked the code to making the setup more valuable than everything else that kind of comes with that, if that makes sense.
It does. And well, to give you also maybe some background information, so some kind of under the hood information, like actually the PM, the product manager of Slice Machine, so people developing dev tools.
Yeah.
Actually, we hired him and we pushed him from a startup, his own startup that was creating Figma to code and generating slice. And the first kind of collaboration that we started to work together was kind of a Figma to Slice Machine plugin and trying to automate that part. So we are very interested in the problem. We don't know if the technology is mature enough today to get to a good level of accuracy that, as Alex said, will not create more work for you than actually just building it right away. But it's something that we are continuously looking at and trying to iterate on.
Cool.
So looking at it, for sure. Can you expect something in the next month or so? Most likely not, but we are looking at it anyway.
And I have a question from Aisha, I think is the name. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Says, guys, I have a doubt on deployment. Do we need to generate new access tokens while creating a new page type? You shouldn't have to. Creating a new page type shouldn't have anything to do with your access tokens. If you're running into any trouble with that, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help you with anything there. There have been, we've definitely had people running into trouble with the new app router and the cache. It's more of a problem with Next.js 13 and with Vercel, and that cache not getting cleared when you want it to. So it might be a problem around that. There's a couple other things that could be happening, but just to answer the question, when creating a new page type, nothing should change about your access token. So please let us know if you need help with that.
And another question, then it's going to be a good segue to, because we were planning to talk about Next 14. Actually, at the end, you covered most of the things, saying no big changes in the API, right? Just faster, like you touched on the name server actions. Sorry, server actions being stable now as a main point, and so I guess you kind of debriefed that and did it in a very succinct way. So we have a question now on improvement of the product, for example, and I think it's going to be a good transition to actually maybe wrap up the show and introduce the next part, except if you have any other items that you want to discuss, Alex and Ahmed.
Okay. I just want to, on the Next.js 14, I just want to quickly say some updates that we actually were together at the Next.js Conf last week. So the Next.js 14 is a new major version release, but no API change, no breaking changes for you, nothing to actually learn. If you've been dabbling into Next.js 13, you almost know every single API. They just made the compiler faster, so your local development runs faster. The changes, the hot module reload runs faster, and also in production. And as you may know, server actions, this is how you can mutate your data in Next.js 13 or inside the app router. Was stable, was experimental, but now Next.js 14 just marks that as stable, which means that you can just use server actions for a variety of different things, but mainly to mutate data on the server. There's actually a preview, the new feature coming into Next.js in future versions, and that's called the partial pre-rendering, which is basically taking the static parts of your page, your suspense, fallbacks, or your layouts, and rendering them statically at build time. So you have some static shell, which makes your render faster, which makes the page load time for your users faster before any dynamic part of your page comes. That's still in that's still not in production. It's something that comes on later. But for now, you don't have to worry about the change in 14, because I've had some people asking me, oh, we just learned Next.js 13. Do we have to now change everything for 14? Nothing has changed. Server actions are now stable.
Yeah. And I do also want to say, if you are still using Pages Router, that's completely valid. You can absolutely stay on Pages Router for a while later. There is no fire that we have to move, we have to drop everything. Like, it is, it brings a lot of cool new features and everything, but your website is still excellent on the Pages Router. All the old practices still do a dang good job. So don't feel like you are behind the times or anything like that. If you have your project is Next 14, but it's still in the Pages Router, totally fine. And the best part, you can incrementally update. So you can build your next page on the Pages Router and keep all your old pages. Sorry, I'm mixing this up.
Yeah.
Yes, you can build the next page that you need to build on the app router and keep everything on Pages and slowly bring things over. or not for a while. Like they haven't announced that Pages Router is going anywhere. Not for Next 14, not for Next 15, as far as we know. So you've got time. No, don't panic. So
Or just take my course and learn about the app router.
yeah, you need to go to App Router now, and you need to take this course. So yeah, cool.
Then thanks a lot. I guess I'm gonna address then one question by first thanking both of you for the stream and for the whole guidance. Was awesome. Was very insightful and super cool. And I'm going to wrap up by answering one of the questions that was around the media library and the new page builder. So some people actually ask questions about the new media library, around the search, around any improvement on the media library. It is something that we are building at the moment, an improved search for the media library. It's something that we heard in the past years, a lot of complaints, and rightfully so. We just wanted to take the time to actually rebuild the overall page building experience and code base so that we can address those items quickly, and they are in the work at the moment. So you should expect some changes and improvement in the next few months, next couple of months. And so yes, new media library, new search, categorization capabilities in the media library. The search of the actual document list will also be improved in the next few months. So that's the path that we chose, like actually rebuilding the page builder so that we can build on top and do it in a week-to-week basis. And if you want to follow the progress that we are having on the page builder and any other features or the rest of the product, we actually released a set of video. So it's the second edition that we released last month around all the product updates that were released during the month of October. We call them Prismic Chronicles. And so we are going to drop you the link on the chat. And you can go and watch everything that we released in October. We talk about SvelteKit preview. We talk about page builder enhancements. We talk about a new migration API that allow a team to actually now start to migrate content programmatically to Prismic, so an endpoint to create content programmatically, and on improvement on the DevTools, so size machine basically, if I recall properly, templates for SvelteKit and Next, and the way for your old project to migrate to size machines. So if you want to see in details all those updates, without the link, please go and watch the video. We'll release another one in November and every month that will follow. And I think now is the time to thank you to be to join the stream and to follow it with us, and to thank you, Alex and Ahmed, and to say to wish you a good evening or a good day, and depending on where you are, a good evening for us in Paris.
Yeah, it was great hanging out with you guys again.
Awesome.
Thanks
yeah, always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.